Boom, what's happening out there, you beautiful people? Hope everybody is good. I see a few of you already out there in the comment section, guys. Where's my sound bar? Oh, sweet, yeah, my sound is coming through to you. Jeez, I didn't see the old Yoki bouncing up and down there for a second, so I thought my mic was off. The horrors. What's going on? I see Mark is out there. What's happening, Mark? Come on, where's that gurgle? You want to hear that gurgle? You do? We'll get a gurgle up there in a few secs there now again for you, Mark. The old pre-recorded one there, like I'd rather do a live one with you. So just packing up a bowl. Who else is out there? We got Husky. What's happening, Husky? DB Woodcraft, Hype. What's going on, Hype? Irish Hemp Harvest, Podge 85. What's going on, Podge? Jimmy's Touchdown. What's going on, Jimmy? And again, shout out to all the Patreons out there as well. Jimmy being one of them. If you're out there in the audience and you're one of the Patreons, let me know. I don't know who all the Patreons are actually, because there's just a good few of you there at the moment. So a nice one, everybody who's signed up to that as well. Shining in a bucket. What's going on? What's happening? Where in the world? Martin's World. Yeah. WRT Gunner. Alter Egos out there as well. Toto Faust. What's going on? How's the dog, Toto? Like seeing your old videos up there with your dog. It's a lovely German Shepherd you have as well, I have to say. And you've some beautiful beaches you visit as well above there. So I'll have to go up and share the scenery with you one of the days, and maybe share a bit more too. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Who else is out there? Fwetch, what's going on, Fwetch? How are you doing? And Teresa, I see Teresa's out there as well. And Sorenable. And Martin Horgan, what's going on out there as well, Martin? How are you doing? Right, they look after me buddy Mark there. I think Mark was looking to hear a bit of a gurgle. You might have to wait actually, shite. Oh no, we don't. Phew, I thought I was after coming out without my old torch of freedom. Ooh, yes. Oh, Niall is out there as well, and Scatanist. What's going on, Niall and Scatanist? Is the war on drugs a myth? No, but a lot of the lies told around the war on drugs are certainly myths, alright? You know, such as cannabis being a gateway drug, that's certainly a myth. In fact, it's just an outright lie that's been proven wrong. It's just, it's not even longer a myth, because at least with myths, there's a potential, that there could be some truth in it. But with cannabis being a gateway to the harder drugs, nah, that's not even a myth. It's just an outright lie. Oh, did you see the article on the 17-year-old with Crohn's disease? I haven't at all, Martin, and it's not lined up on today's 420 news, unfortunately. So if you've got a link there to it, maybe you might pop it by to me on Facebook or something like that, and I'll have a look at it there in a little while and see what I come up with. Because I didn't come across it in today's 420 news. I have a couple of headlines lined up there, a couple of court cases, and a few other bits and pieces there as well from around the world, going over to New Zealand as far as we go today in today's 420 news. So let's get stuck right on into it. So guys, the first headline that I have for you today, guys, is the major smoke up, the major protest for cannabis reform in Phoenix Park, Dublin. Again, guys, just a final reminder, it is this Saturday coming. So, again, for the rest of the week, Wednesday show, Friday show, I will be starting with this because I think it's incredibly important that as many people as possible know about this, in order to get as many people as possible to attend this. And I think as well, with all the recent coverage in the news and around just drug policy reform in Ireland now, I think this is a great opportunity for us as a cannabis community to speak up for ourselves and how we would like to see our drug of choice regulated in our society. And I think the 10th of July is going to be a major opportunity to have your say, so stand up and be counted, really, isn't it? So be there, guys, or, don't. Please do, though. And yeah, I suppose in line with this, as I said, there's been a lot of news in the headlines recently calling on the government to change their approach to how we deal with drugs in our society. And last Friday on the news, we had Drew Harris featured and a little video there from RT, where he was talking about all sorts of lies again, spreading some myths there around the war on drugs. That he basically stated that if we were to decriminalise drugs, I actually have it here a little bit later on, that he believes that organised crimes would worsen with decriminalisation, which is nonsense. Like, he didn't back that up with any evidence at all. But more importantly, on that headline was that there was over 100 youth workers calling on the government to decriminalise and regulate drugs. And these guys have got a website up there. If you're not aware of it, it is YWAP Ireland. So Youth Workers Against Prohibition Ireland. So YWAPIreland.com. And I'm just going to pop up on the screen there now for you. Fingers crossed this works. Boom, there we go. Yes. So change starts with you. This is the opening what you're met once you get to the website, and this is an open letter that's written right down across the opening page of the website, and it starts as following. It says, "We have come together as a group of independent, experienced youth workers to raise our concerns about the policy of drug prohibition in Ireland. At present, youth workers are supporting over 380,000 young people in communities across the country. We see firsthand on a daily basis the untold damage that criminalising young people has in their life opportunities in Ireland. We see the devastation that unregulated drugs are inflicting on communities, as young people have no idea of the content, purity or consequences of what they are taking. Prohibition drives our young people who use drugs underground. It isolates them and places them in danger. We believe that the policy of prohibition, criminalisation has failed and is not the way forward." And it goes on. There's an incredible write-up there in it. Go head on over there yourselves, guys. Pay a visit to their website, drive the traffic up over there for them, and just let them know that there's a lot of support out there for this. But you can go over there and read the rest of this for yourselves. A great little infographic here then as well, prohibition versus regulation, and nice and simple. It doesn't need it doesn't need to be overcomplicated, really. This paints a perfect picture of the difference there. You take the guns out of it, you take the unregulated nature of it, you put instead strict quality, product quality and safety controls coming from licensed producers and a fair trade production, which is incredibly important as well when it comes to drugs like cocaine and things like that are being produced in some of the poorer countries out there, and the farmers being exploited, So again, as I say, like, there is a nice write-up there. I'm not going to go and read it all for yourself. Just go over there and check it out for yourselves. But the list of people then that are up here, it's at the very bottom. So again, starting it off is none other than himself, Gerard Rowe. Gerard Rowe we had on the podcast on episode 23, I think it was, Gerard. Can't remember now, that's off the top of my head. But Gerard Rowe was a guest of the podcast in the past, and shared with me his views and opinions. And he's got an interesting background himself as well. I can't remember if he shared it on the podcast. I think it was afterwards he disclosed to me, but he didn't really want to get into it in the podcast, that his parents had suffered with addiction as well, so he lost his parents due to that. So he's had first-hand experience as to the effects of drug addiction and drug abuse. So to see him up there is amazing. To have his support is amazing, because Gerard Rowe is he's an invaluable human being, and it really is. He's a national treasure. The things he does for the communities that he's serving, just completely it's invaluable. And the government have these people incredibly underfunded. Organisations that Gerard would work with are incredibly underfunded in Ireland, and therefore their ability to help young people is severely limited. But then we see on the other side of it, we have the Gardaí and their prohibition, and sure, there's no shortage of money. We've 321 Gardaí now on full-time duty, paid for the state, loads of overtime with that, along with expenses and vehicles and all sorts of things afforded to them to go out and to basically enforce failed policies. And meanwhile, people like Gerard Rowe and the other community groups that help our young people are having to beg from the communities, from the public, in order to kind of raise a bit of money, do different fundraisers and things like that. and it's ridiculous. We could end this prohibition. We could say, just look at cannabis, for example. How many times have I gone over, and I'll go through some rates there as well later, where cannabis has been seized, 100,000 worth of cannabis, like put a 23% tax on that. That's €23,000. We could do amazing things in the community. And I could guarantee you, all of these communities out there are probably handing out this money already to the drug dealers, to the organised crime gangs. So why not just take the power away from the organised crime gangs, which is what the aim of these youth workers are. It's they don't want to see drugs out there openly sold or whatever. It's just they just want to kill these organised crime gangs. So these organised crime gangs are doing untold harm to our societies, and that's because of prohibition. That's not because of drugs. The only reason these organised crime gangs have any interest in drugs is because of prohibition, because of the money in it. Take the money out of it. How do you take the money out of it? Well, the state gets involved. Next, you have a state-sponsored supply of cocaine, let's say. Again, I would say cocaine because I don't want the state getting their hands in cannabis. Let people like myself and the other really great people out there, the Greenbeards and everyone else out there who's growing their own, allow us to be able to grow our own cannabis. We don't need this kind of over-regulation. But certainly for things like cocaine and diamorphine, aka heroin, certainly the state could step in and say, look, we're going to actually supply this now to the people out there who are using this in our community in order to reduce the harms caused by the organised crime gangs, in order to protect the consumers then by ensuring a quality of supply. Like it's a no-brain approach, like really. Like I don't understand why this is such a hard thing to get through to the fucking that skull of Frank Fian and the rest of these cronies up there. Like, how is it so hard to bloody understand? One of the signatories of the letter there with Gerard Rowe is a man by the name of Eddie Darcy. Also, I've another photo there of Eddie Darcy. Sorry, that's Eileen Flynn. I popped up by mistake. Here's Eddie. So Eddie Darcy is again another youth worker, but a head gardener, CEO. Eddie has a long history in the field of youth work, including a number of years in Coolor House. He spent 27 years leading and developing Ronanstown Youth Service in Neilstown, and has served as head of youth work with CYC. For the past 2 years, he's been contributing to the Solace Project Compass programme. Eddie is a master's in youth work from Maynooth University and has received a number of prestigious awards for his work with young people, including the John O'Connell Award. So again, like this is a man who's got amazing years of experience behind him, and he's coming out calling upon the government to end this silly war on drugs that's empowering the organised crime gangs out there to come in and exploit our young people, to undermine the work of Eddie. Because while Eddie, as I said, these people are already working with limited resources, and you can see what's afforded not only to the Gardaí but to the organised crime gangs. Look at the money and the power that they have in the communities that they work in, where they take advantage of some of the most vulnerable within those communities. Some of the more uneducated of the kids, some of the more naive of the kids, some of the more abused of the kids, some of the kids that are more lacking, who are looking for somebody to look up to. These criminals fill the void a lot of the times, because people like Eddie, people like Gerard, they're very limited in their resources and working and reaching out to these kids. It's a crazy system that we have, but Eddie, as another signatory, and as I say, has been a youth worker since the early 1980s, and now works in the southwest inner city on a daily basis. And this is from Eddie himself. He says, on a daily basis, I witness the devastating effect that the drug gangs have on certain communities. He says the fear and the intimidation that families live under, the level of control they have within certain housing estates and flat complexes, the number of people who are serving prison sentences. In the decades he has been involved in youth work, he has seen the same cycles play out. He says, I was working in Clondalkin when Veronica Guerin was murdered. All the resources that were promised and a huge effort I put in, and many of the people involved were put behind bars. But demand drives the industry, he says, and no matter how many shipments the Gardaí seize or drug dealers put in prison, the trade always survives. Even enormous success in terms of seizures hasn't radically affected the trade. It hasn't radically affected the gangs, and it hasn't affected the level of drugs in our communities. Darcy argues, in fact, that things are getting even worse now, and they are. The fucking facts are showing that too. The drugs trade, he says, has extended into rural Ireland now, and drug debt and intimidation are also starting to affect middle-class families. He knows of many parents who have found themselves paying a child's drug debt under the threat of violence. It's not a war we're ever going to win. And Gerard Rowe as well observes that the drug war is also a way in which working class communities are punished for a more widespread social issue. We know the main funders of the illegal drugs trade are the middle class, but they're not subject to the law in the way people from poor or marginalised backgrounds are. He said, who fills up the prisons? It's 4,000 people every year, mostly there for drug convictions from disadvantaged areas, and this has gone on for decades. The common sense grown-up thing to do would be to treat drug use as normal adult behaviour, and that's a quote from Gerard himself. He says, people who run into problems with addiction, we need to treat that rather than criminalising and punishing people. That just pushes people further into addiction, and it just fills up our prisons. We cannot police our way out of this issue. So again, that's coming from Gerard Rowe there. And back to Darcy, he says, with decriminalisation, the state is basically saying, and this is why, and I suppose to elaborate, like these signatories are not calling just for decriminalisation, but the regulation of all drugs, all of the drugs, not just cocaine and heroin, cannabis, cocaine, heroin, all of them, MDMA, mushrooms, all of them. There should be no illegal drugs, because if you have an illegal drug, you're going to have organised crime gangs involved. And this is what Darcy has to say on that. With the decriminalisation only approach, the state is basically saying you can smoke your weed, but you have to buy it from a criminal gang. We're going to allow you to carry heroin and go to an injecting centre, but you have to buy it from a criminal gang. Those same criminal gangs have no hesitation about beating people up, no hesitation in shooting people, no hesitation in you putting huge pressure on people to be involved in the illegal trade. And a lot of the time, that's kids that they put this pressure on. He says, I want to take the gangs out of this picture, and I believe that if you took the money out of it, the gangs would disappear almost overnight. What about the concern that regularisation would lead to an increase in the use and availability of drugs? And Darcy notes that the countries where drug laws have been relaxed, there is no evidence of overall increase in the drug use. He also observes that drugs are already readily available, and he says, I lecture part-time in the youth work course in Dundalk Institute of Technology, and most of the students there would be from what would be seen as a very rural backgrounds. And in their little village or rural hamlet, if anybody wants a line of coke or a few joints, nobody has any difficulty in getting it at all. He says they don't have all the answers. They're not outlining what a regulated legal drugs trade would look like. Darcy says he favours a non-profit system. Man, me and you, Darcy, are definitely singing from the same hymn sheet here, bud. But he says he favours a non-profit system similar to the state-run alcohol dispensaries in Finland, but he believes there are experts who are better qualified to work out these details. He is qualified, he says, to start a conversation about how prohibition has failed to reduce crime, addiction and the availability of drugs. He says, I'm not in any way condoning or minimising the impact drugs have on people. He says, this is about trying to highlight a drug war we can't win. I am not advocating free availability of drugs from the point of view that they're safe. I'm doing it from the point of view that I want to remove the drug gangs and I want to have some regulation in the market. A drug gang doesn't give a shit about the quality of product or what they're mixing it with or if there's a bad batch. They don't care whether they're selling it to a 12-year-old or a 19-year-old. And you know, prohibition enables all of this. It increases harm. It doesn't reduce harm. I sincerely believe that we can manage this issue better, but not under the current paradigm of prohibition. If the Misuse of Drugs Act was put in place to stop people from using drugs, it has catastrophically failed and it never has been as bad as what it currently is. So again, guys, amazing work there by these community youth workers out, again, stepping out and into the forefront now, because this has been such a topical issue for so long, and it's something people shied away from, as Gerard would have highlighted in the interview that he did with myself. You know, that he was one of few speaking out at the time. And now there's over 100 of them. I think that there's 123 names, I believe, in total have signed up to this. Like, so to go from Gerard expressing, you know, there's not many of us, I feel kind of on the outside, on the fringe of things, to this now, this is a major step forward, and I think this is really going to help speed up the progress here in drug policy reform in Ireland. And again, just to go back to it for our own community, guys, for the cannabis community, the 10th of July is your opportunity to get out there and stand up and speak up for the ending of your oppression. Because what these youth workers are speaking up for is the young people in our communities, and they're speaking up for all drugs. It's not just cannabis. But I look forward to hearing more from this group of people as well. And as I say, included in this, there was hundreds of names there, but also included in there was Eileen Flynn. Eileen Flynn, who is from a traveller background herself, and interestingly enough, one of the first traveller politicians in Ireland, first traveller senator, I suppose. But she says that she endorses this position because she believes the illegal drugs trade and the war against it causes more harm to the communities in which they work than the addiction does alone. They argue that if the state regulated these drugs, dangerous criminals would effectively be cut out of the market, and youth workers, social workers and clinicians could focus on treating drug addiction as a social problem and as an issue of public health. John, don't need to really say anymore. An incredible bunch of people. I could nearly just take off my hat now and kind of retire, and knowing that we've got an incredible bunch of people who are going to achieve a lot more than what I ever could have on my own. So I'm fucking very happy to be able to see this happening, because as I say, the youth, they're not being represented, that they're overexploited by the organised crime gangs, and now to see the youth workers come out finally in favour of the decriminalisation and regulation of all drugs. Wow, that's just fucking, to all of them, well done, happy days, you made me so happy. We drive on then, so guys, because well, this is very positive news, and I maybe should have finished with this, because it kind of goes a little bit downhill from here afterwards then, but we'll get through it as we do. A former League of Ireland football player was caught with €45,000 worth of drugs, and he's avoided jail. So interestingly enough here again, highlighting the two-tier system that exists within the legal system, where this individual got caught with €45,000 worth of cocaine and some other illegal drugs, and he's after getting away with he was handed a 5-year sentence, but it was suspended in its entirety. Now that's rather lenient. He doesn't have to do a day in prison, pretty much. He might as well have got nothing. He got 5 years, but they were suspended, man. He gets to stay at home, or he has to carry with him the criminal conviction and all of that crap with it. This guy should have got 10 years minimum mandatory as per the rules. Extenuating circumstances. The guy never got caught with drugs before. Whoop-de-doo, Is this open field days for anybody out there who's not got caught with drugs before to go out there, man, and go for it. Try to make as much as you can before you get caught. And the first time you get caught, you're going to get a suspended sentence. Very unlikely, actually. It's just mainly because of this guy's standing and his background. Coming from, being an ex-Ireland of League of Ireland soccer player. His name is Adrian Bagora, and he's 25 years of age. And in total, he was caught with 42,000 worth of cocaine and some smaller quantities of MDMA, ketamine, zopiclone tablets, and cannabis also. John, up before the judge kind of was observing, you work with kids, or you're a good soccer player, all this kind of stuff. He was just really taking the accused side on the things, just because of his background. It's just crazy. It's interesting enough at highlighting in here, when this guy left school, he went on to do an FII program, coaching and all of this stuff, but it's again incredibly underfunded. Our FII in Ireland, this individual probably should have been snooped up by these guys and should have been up there training all of the time, but they probably don't have enough money, because the old John Delaney's up the top are fucking signing blank checks for themselves for eye sculptures and all of this stuff, but none of them have to go to prison at all, this guy doesn't either, right? But again, major failed opportunity. This individual went up before the judge then as well, just admitted, look, I'm not addicted to drugs, I don't even really use drugs, I'm in this for the money, I need to make money for my family, because when I got out of this coaching program, I was hoping to secure a job, that as he was kind of saying, and what did he end up doing? Low paid, minimum wage type jobs. So he had to supplement his income. There we go. Like another example as to how prohibition just fucks up our society, because good to do people are very much tempted now into something like this, because he probably knows a few people who take cocaine, and he's like, if I just buy in a lot, I can just invest. And he's probably got a bit of a business mind on top of him as well. Like he was doing well in life. A 5-year suspended sentence, but the conviction that goes with it for drug dealing, that's really going to impact upon his ability to go forward, especially if he wants to get into things like coaching kids anymore. That's definitely going to be detrimental to this individual. But again, if you change it around, right? Imagine if this was somebody from across the coming out of Knocknaheeny, or coming down out of Knocka there, like and you're a local football player, you know what I mean? You didn't do well in your leaving cert. You weren't lucky enough to be able to get into the coaching of the FAI, and like this guy, you're working at the local garage or something like that, like behind the counter, whatever it might be, and it's a minimum wage job, and you get tempted to kind of start selling cocaine. Do you think the judge is going to be so favourable to you in that instance? I do not think so. It's just so fucking backwards, really. Like, and it's just got to end, because like, what's the point of having laws in place if we're not even going to enforce them? As I said, this guy should have got a 10-year minimum mandatory, and now the judges let him go. Like, pretty much just let him go. That's what he's pretty much done. Look, we're going to label you a criminal for drug dealing. We're going to give you a 5-year sentence, but look, you don't have to do it. Look, go on away home. Look, that's pretty much it, like. But if that was me, if I go down the road and I get caught with a couple of 50 bags or something like that, and go down to sort out the boys, I just picked up an ounce. I didn't want to bring my scales with me. I break it into a couple of bags to give it to the lads once we get down to the poker game, and I get caught. I'd be going to prison, like, I wouldn't be afforded the same opportunity at all, like, it's messed up, like. And much like this other individual in this story, like, where the Cork man, he got caught with some heroin and coke, or heroin and cannabis in his car, and he got a jail sentence. He was sent to prison for 10 fucking months. 10 bloody months he got sent to prison for getting caught with what was €30 or €40 worth of cannabis and €25 worth of heroin. Like, it's messed up. Like, your man's going to prison now for 10 months. This was on New Year's Day, January of earlier in this year. So again, quick enough actually to get him up before the courts, in fairness, like compared to other cases. So that's something interesting here in that one. They're never that quick for me, feckers. But this man, aged 44. What good is it to society that we're locking him up now for 10 months? How is that going to serve us any good? If this guy's got a drug problem, surely we have to help him with that. Like, he had €25 worth of heroin and €40 worth of cannabis. Seems like personal drug use to me, and it should have been of no interest to our Gardaí at all, unless it was to give the guy the number to the local drug helpline and to leave him with his drugs, because if they take his drugs off him, then he's more vulnerable, especially with things like heroin, to be experienced withdrawals, and if he was to be in that at that point with his drug use, which could lead to him going on doing unthinkable things. You just don't know the situation they're making. But one thing's for sure is prohibition has always made things worse for society. And here's another example of it: a man going to prison for 10 months for his own personal drug use. Why? 10 months, like that's just on, what's that, about 80 to 90,000 euro, based upon 100,000 euro per year per prisoner in Ireland. Sick, like, so fucking sick. And meanwhile, as I say, like, the George Rose and the Eddie Darcy's of the world, the services in which they engage in are incredibly underfunded from the state. What a backwards fucking system, like. And then we go to another case here where a man was arrested in County Tipperary after being also caught with cannabis on the same day in Carrick-on-Shannon. So this individual got caught twice with cannabis on the same day. Very unfortunate for him. It was only actually when I seen this up in our Crown a while ago, it reminded me of a time I got caught with some hash many years ago. And I was going home that evening, and I got stopped and searched again. And I happened to have another nodule on me again, but they didn't find it on me the second time. I got lucky enough, so it was very unfortunate. But like this fella, as his solicitor described him, he says that he must have a suspicious face. Like myself, like, do I have a suspicious face? Like, I don't know, like, to the guards I must, like, or something anyway. But this is Frankie O'Connor, and he pleaded guilty earlier at an earlier court case to possession of the drug in the Clare Glens, Newport, in April 27th of 2020. The court heard that Mr. O'Connor was acting suspiciously and was searched by the Gardaí, who discovered him in possession of €25 worth of cannabis. Mr. O'Connor had been caught with cannabis in Carrick-on-Shannon in County Leitrim on the same day as he was arrested in Clare Glens. He must have a face that is suspicious because he was stopped twice on the same day, said his solicitor Ted McCarthy. The remnants were on him. So basically, like, the remnants, probably the end of a joint, like the specks out at the end of a bag or something. Mr. McCarthy said that his client, a farmer, had the cannabis for recreational use, and he has assured me he won't go within a mile of the stuff again. Judge Elizabeth McGrath fined him €150 and obviously gave him an old criminal conviction, which is going to stick to the man now for the rest of his life. But look, he's a farmer, so maybe that's not going to be as detrimental on him because, you know, there's not people going to be looking on his background, maybe, unless he's got a contract with old fucking Dairy Gold or something, like, and they're saying, come here, we're not going to be having you at all, but when we have getting the old wacky milk off your cows there soon if you're out smoking around them or something, like, you know, you'll come up with some sort of ludicrous excuse to not buy this man's milk if he's a milk farmer, I don't know. But €150 and a criminal conviction that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life, for the inconvenience of having a suspicious face and our Gardaí then taking it upon them to search him not once but twice on the same day. Like, surely that's so messed up. That's just so backwards, like, that can even happen. And it highlights as well, you know, the backwards fucking decriminalisation approach that they have here in the Irish state, which they're trying to introduce. I don't know, have they introduced it already, or they're still to introduce it? But basically, the first time you get caught with drugs, the Gardaí can show their discretion at the side of the road and refer you to a health service. And the second time then you get caught, they can show their discretion again and give you an adult caution. The third time then you have to go to court, normal, kind of back to normal. So here you go, like, this man got caught not once but twice on the same day. And I'm sure, you know, fucking, despite what he might have said to his solicitor or whatever, like, you know, he probably was so stressed out afterwards, like, he was straight down to the boys and be like, I can't believe they fucking got me twice in the same day, like, you know, and he down having another waft, like, you know, because I know, anyway, that's for sure, once I got out of court or anytime I was caught with stuff, my stress levels would be through the bloody roof, and there's nothing better than an old smoke to kind of bring it back down and mellow you back out, because the trauma and the fucking the emotions that you feel after this encounter with Gardaí, it's just horrible. But we drive on because our old Garda Commissioner, as I say, he thinks all this criminalisation stuff is great, and he thinks decriminalisation is going to make matters only worse. Do you know? So he thinks somebody getting stopped and searched for €25 worth of cannabis and little nudges is great use of our Garda's time, and that by taking away the supply from criminals, we'll be only making matters worse, because he doesn't believe that the criminals will go away from it. But why is that? Like, you know, you look at prohibition in America of alcohol. Did the criminals stay with alcohol prohibition or with alcohol after prohibition? No, they didn't. The only criminals who stayed with alcohol after prohibition were the people who would never have been criminals if alcohol wasn't illegal in the first place, because these would have been the respectful, legitimate business people who would come up, you know, and provide the public houses in our communities, you know, rather than what it was before with the speakeasies and the different kind of, maybe the old dodgy people who might have been running these things, like we see today. You've good drug dealers out there, you've got bad drug dealers. Some of them will give you some nice weed. Some of them will give you weed that's fucking not even weed. Do you know, you go get edibles off a fella and it might be homemade and it might be good. You go get it off another fella and it might be homemade and it's going to be shocking. Do you know what I mean? There's some Xanax or something in there. And again, which one is going to stick around after one? Which one is going to do good under regulation? Of course, it's the one who's selling quality and following the regulations that will be put in place to protect the consumers, because why would you go back to the bad ones? In fairness, like, if you went to a pub here in Ireland and you got a dodgy pint, I'm sure that'd be the last pub you'd be going back to, because you've got so many others you can choose from, and why would you go back to the one selling you dodgy pints? Like, you know, you just wouldn't. Like, so the old Harris there, like, he's really got his head up his arse on this one. As when he was speaking there last week, he was saying that the term recreational drug use is a dangerous misnomer that hides the irreparable damage that illegal and dangerous drugs cause to the individuals and society. But in reality, sorry, Drew, but it's your prohibition that's done the irreparable damage to individuals and our society. Do you know, it's not the drugs that's doing it. Sorry, Drew, it's the bloody prohibition. Drew also said that it is no longer the case that such dealing is confined to our cities and urban areas. Yeah, Drew, yeah, you getting that one from the old youth workers against prohibition, because that's what they're saying as well, that yeah, you are failing at your job. You're now launching Operation Tara, which you were announcing last week. For what? What? It's so launching some new operation with a new nice Irish name. Is this coming from your PR crowd? Is that I would say this is coming from their PR crowd to say, look, launch an operation, tell them you're going to tackle the scourge of the nation, drugs. Do you know? Stop. Like, this is your this is what it seems like to me anyway, PR, because nothing's going to change. Like, your Gardaí were already tackling low level and street level drug dealers for the last 20 fucking years. And all that's done is actually seeing the rise of organised crime gangs, seeing the spread of drug dealing from the cities to the more rural areas. That's been done under the Gardaí's watch for years. What kind of an insane approach are you taking? Because this is exactly what it is. It's insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again. You're just changing the name. You're just shining it back up and throwing it back out there, thinking nobody will fucking notice that it's the exact same approach we've been taking for the last 50 years, Drew. And something's got to change. Listen to the youth workers before or against prohibition, rather than just fucking stealing their lines. Because yes, they're acknowledging the fact that drugs are in every town and village around the country, and that the Gardaí can't fucking stop it. This is a war that you're not going to win, and all you're doing now, launching this Operation Tara, dedicating 321 Gardaí to full-time focus on drugs. All you're doing is wasting taxpayers' money and making our communities less safe. Because those 321 Gardaí now are not going to be answering calls for domestic violence. They're not going to be answering rape cases. Do you know, they're not going to be out there dealing with burglaries. They're not going to be doing any of that. Their sole purpose is going to be drugs. Do we want that? Is that money well spent for taxpayers? No, it is not. Because look, Drew, look, this is your war on drugs in effect. A judge in Spain has ordered the return of, but not just body armour to the Kinahans after a reclap of a case, but they've ordered the return of €500,000 in cash and other assets to the Kinahan cartel after the collapsing of a case there that was going on for the last 11 years. And it was a money laundering case, and they've basically had to drop it because there's insufficient evidence in order to go any further with the case. And because of that, they're getting back $500,000 in cash and other assets. That is absolutely ridiculous, and included inside in this that's been handed back. And most of in Spain, a lot of the fury is coming because of the fact that they're returning bulletproof vests to these guys. Bulletproof vests. There's a lot of camouflage gear, army boots and things like this, because apparently Daniel Kinahan and the boys were over there doing military style training operations with all of this kind of stuff, like crazy carry-on all together. Like, but this is the war on drugs, lads. This is how much of a failure it is. That they're after dragging this guy through the courts for 11 years and they're unsuccessful in achieving anything against them. All they've done now is wasted their own time and the money of taxpayers. And this guy now is even more richer, $500,000 richer, or sorry, not $500,000, $500 million richer, 500 million they're after returning to the guy. Like, that's sickening. That is sickening. And meanwhile, you know, you get caught with a 50 bag there above in the streets in Dublin, or if you're fucking somebody who's fall prey to a drug addiction and you got a bag of heroin on you, and it's your third time getting caught today now, buddy, sorry, like, and you're hauled off to jail, like, do you know, because it's that easy to catch you. But as I said, the guys at the top fucking dogs, man, they're smart. They're not one step ahead. They're about 2 or 3 steps ahead of the authorities all the time. And yeah, and you see it here again. Kinahan, he's out. He's just after getting €500 million fucking euro back off the cops or the authorities over there, man. And we think that we can continue with this war on drugs. Seriously, like the boys Drew and them must be doing all the drugs, like because they're gone wacky up there, right? They seriously are, like because to continue with prohibition when you can't even criminalise one of the most well known criminal crime gang persons. I don't know what you would call him, like you know that he's the top dog. It just goes to show, like it's futile because if you can't take him out of the equation, well, he's going to replace anybody you take out from under him because everybody under him is replaceable. They're all expendable. Right down to the lowest of the low that the Garda you're going tackling now, they're the most expendable. The low level street dealing people, because they're the ones who are addicted. They're the ones who are broke, poor. Those are the ones that our guards are going to catch and send to our prisons. They're not going to send Daniel Kinahan to our prisons. Is this what we want them doing, Operation Tara? Clowns, like seriously, like the clowns to the highest degree, like. That there is one charge though that is going to stick apparently, where Christy Kinahan is going to get charged for travelling on some fraudulent passports. He apparently travelled from Spain to Brazil a number of years ago on a dodgy passport, so they're going to do him on that. And you know what this kind of almost reminds me of in that instance? When I read that part of the story, I was just like, that's like the fucking story in Narcos with Pablo Escobar, you know what I mean? And he hands himself into his own prison, like, you know, and he's inside in his own prison with his own prison officers and all of that stuff, like, and the boys of a casino and the whole lot inside of there, like that's almost what it seems like to me, like, you know, that there's some sort of a deal after being struck out here now where I don't know, somebody's benefiting along the way and they're like, look, just go down for this one thing, we'll make everything else go away, we'll give you back your $500 million there and all the assets we seized off you. We'll make all that go away. Just do this one thing there for us. I wonder what that one thing is. Is Daniel Kinahan after turning? Is he now an old, what would you call him, an old snitch? Daniel Kinahan's going to get hit now because of Martin's World. Highly unlikely, but yeah, stranger things have happened. But we drive on anyway, guys, because, you know, while that gives me a bit of a laugh and a giggle, it really is, it's kind of sad as well. That they weren't able to do them, but you know, I'm delighted that it sort of really highlights the failures of prohibition in our society. So driving on to the next headline, guys, it is a Cork man was confessed to supplying cannabis to 15 to 20 people in his locality on a weekly basis. This is a man based, and it's not myself if anybody was assuming this. This is a man from Kinsale, not far from myself, but yeah, he's from out in Kinsale, and he made that confession anyway in court. And Jeff Hughes is the name of the individual, and he was arraigned at Cork Circuit Criminal Court, where he pleaded guilty to the charge of having cannabis for sale and supply on December 11th, 2019. Garda Colin O'Reilly gave evidence of the background to the case, and a search warrant was obtained to search the home of Jeff Hughes in Kinsale. The accused is the property he let, or the accused was at the property. He let us into the house, and Gardaí recovered €13,000 worth of drugs and €12,000 worth of cannabis was located at different locations in the house. So there was €1,000 of what else? What was the other drugs? Smaller quantities of other drugs were also located, as well as over €3,000 in cash. Also found was a tick list, weighing scales, deal bags, and black latex gloves. He admitted having cannabis for sale and supply, and at Kinsale, the Garda testified. Jeff Hughes was arrested on the day and taken to the Bandon Garda station for questioning, and he was interviewed twice, and he admitted having cannabis for sale and supply, and he admitted he was dealing to 15 or 20 people a week. That had varied from week to week as people contacted him. He admitted buying half a kilo of cannabis every month, selling a total of 4 to 5 kilos over a period of 10 months. His main objective was to fund his own use. He was smoking a large amount of cannabis. Originally from Wexford, he is currently residing in County Kildare. He has no previous convictions, but he would have a serious issue with drugs. Defence barrister Mahan Corkery said Hughes has a good work record and he was selling drugs to feed his own addiction. I've heard that one before, haven't we? And certainly the judge overseeing this one has as well. But he has gone to Newbridge and he has taken himself out of the cycle of buying drugs and using them and selling them. He is 29 and yeah, he's asking for a bit of sympathy from, I guess who? Judge old Soddy boy, Judge Sod, Sean O'Donovan. He adjourned the sentencing then of the individual to prolong the man's suffering for another 2 to 3 months. Is it September 20th? And he ordered that he submit for at least 3 certified urine analysis tests between now and then at his own expense. So this individual has to go now and be tested to make sure that he has no cannabis in his system or other drugs for the next number of months, or it's not going to go down well for him. But like, what's this all about? Like, you have to go in and you have to produce what is it, like a urine analysis that doesn't produce a positive result for any drugs. But why is this at all an issue? Like, if this man is unable to do this, then all he's showing is that either one, he's not afraid of the law and he doesn't want to have his drug use dictated by the authorities, or two, he's a person who is addicted to drugs and is unable to stop. So if he goes back before Judge Sean O'Donovan and is unable to provide negative urine analysis samples, then is he going to be punished harder or worse for being effectively, as I say, the latter, addicted to these drugs, which is really messed up if that is the case, like that a person who is unwell is going to be punished for being unwell. But to not surprised from our buddy Sad, the big old bold face in him. But then we go on from this case and to another, man, a shocking case where, and this is coming out of Cork as well. And this is the case where Conman persuaded a husband to pay €1,120 for cannabis to help his dying wife, and the man then fled with the money. A really messed up case here. So an individual, as he said, a heartless conman persuaded a distraught husband to hand over €1,120 for cannabis oil in a desperate last-ditch bid to help his wife, who was a victim of cervical smear scandal, and then done a runner with the money. Really messed up, like. And this was heard at the Fermoy District Court recently, and it was that the 38-year-old John Griffin preyed on Paul Dingavan just a month before his 36-year-old wife Julie died in April of 2017. Griffin pleaded guilty to the charge that he dishonestly, by deception, induced Paul Dingavan to hand over €1,120, believing that he would supply cannabis oil to him with the intention of making gain for himself at McCurtain Street, Fermoy, on March 1st, 2017. He was sentenced to 9 months in jail only for this crime. 9 months in jail. Like the other fellow who got caught with some cannabis and heroin and got 10 months. This fella, he actually went out there and ripped a man off, took advantage of a man at a time when his wife was dying, and took probably maybe what little money the man had too, like €1,120. That's quite a bit of money. Like maybe that was all of the man's money at the time, or a majority of it. Being that his wife was in the situation she was in, maybe he wasn't working as much, and he was just in that very vulnerable state, and he got completely taken advantage of then because of that. And again, this is only because of prohibition. Again, you've Paul Dingavan probably is aware of the benefits that cannabis potentially has for people with cancer, for again just helping with the symptoms there of the chemotherapy and some of the other things that comes with cancer. So maybe he was tempted, and then because he had the knowledge of it, maybe Paul Dingavan had actually approached his the health professionals. Maybe his wife had approached the health professionals and said, "Can you get us access there to cannabis? Because we know people in America, they have access to it, and it's helping them do wonders." And they weren't able to do it. Who knows? But Paul Dingavan was down at the pub having a chat with his brother, and that's when he believed that this individual was after overhearing their conversation, and he airwigged himself into it then, and was kind of like, "Oh yeah, I can get you some cannabis oil and it'll cure your wife's cancer." And that's pretty much what Paul Dingavan was saying, that the man said to him, that this is going to cure your wife's cancer. Like what person wouldn't be willing to, at that kind of a point of it too. So it's again like, and I think the highlight here is like that Julie, and may she rest in peace as well, Julie Dingavan. Like she's been failed not once but twice by the Irish state here, because the major failure of the Irish state was obviously the smear scandal that went on here, which was an atrocity, like an atrocious carry-on and behaviour of people who were supposed to be looking out for people like that. But then the second failure was not providing safe and effective access to cannabis oil. They lost out to the tune of €1,120 at the time. And fair play to them for coming forward, in fairness, like, and for the courts for hearing it as well. You know, it's interesting, you know, that this man was breaking the law and handing over the money to buy cannabis oil. The cannabis oil was illegal. So it's interesting that the courts heard this and entertained this. So it's very interesting, you know, because at the very same time that if Paul Dingavan was successful, and let's say that the guy was an honest guy, and he provided the cannabis oil, and Paul Dingavan was going down the road then in Fermoy, the cops would have fucking took it off him. Do you know what I mean? And here the cops are now kind of almost, well, the law almost, like, it's on his side. It arrested the guy, it locked him up, like, for 9 months. So I would say the guy should have got a lot more anyway, maybe 3 to 4, I would say, for preying on people in such a situation. Like, horrible individual, like. You don't want these people in your society. Like, that is effective use of our prisons, taking these individuals who are just nasty people to have in our society. A person who uses drugs, drug users aren't bad. We don't need to lock them up. Some of them are just sick. They need to go to a hospital, if anything, like, you know, but that's it. That's all we should be doing for people who use drugs in our society. I would say it might be you, Scatanist, man. Hopefully, oh no, it's lagging for you too. Shit. Stream down, froze. No. That is a bummer. Sorry, guys. YouTube frozen. Ah, no, what a bummer. Back again. All right. We didn't go any further there anyway. I want to make sure everybody's back. Excellent. Yeah, everybody's back. And we'll get through these final 2 pieces. I know what it is. I actually unplugged my router from the thing, so I'm actually on the wireless right now. So that is my bad, I'd say, from my side, possibly. I'm not getting any notifications, though, on any dropped frames from my side. So we'll see. So let's just get through the last 2 headlines here that I have for you guys, which is that the government in New Zealand have been accused of creating a medical cannabis crisis through their strict regulations. And this is a story coming out of New Zealand where in 2020 more than 200 consignments of medical cannabis were destroyed at the border because they failed to meet the rules. In the first 3 months of 2021, 67 consignments have been destroyed. And some of those consignments were belonging to incredibly unwell patients out there. Patients such as Eddie Thomas, who's 7 years of age, and he needs medical cannabis to help stop his seizures. And his mum told the news the effects of this, but I'll pop it up here so you can hear this for yourselves. It's just a little video coming out of the New Zealand news scene. So 1 second, I get this up in full screen.
The government has been accused of creating a medicinal cannabis crisis by imposing the strictest regulations in the world. Families say they can't get access to the products they need, but the Prime Minister denies it's a mess. Here's political reporter Benedict Collins.
7-year-old Eddie's back home in Auckland.
Is he frightened of Eddie Dragon?
But last month it was touch and go. Officials at the border have repeatedly detained the prescription medicinal cannabis that stops his epileptic seizures.
It's really, really quite frightening. Edward could have died at any point over the last 3 months.
And it takes an emotional toll.
He talks constantly about being scared of dying from his seizures.
The standards are so tough, no local products have been approved. In 2020, more than 200 consignments of medicinal cannabis were destroyed at the border because they didn't meet the rules. In the first 3 months of 2021, 67 consignments have been destroyed.
It was hugely disappointing. It took us years to make this mess, and it shouldn't take us years to get out of it.
Has the government made a mess of the medical cannabis market?
No. Ultimately, we want New Zealanders to access safe products to manage their medical needs. If that is not what people are experiencing, then we will keep looking at the system we've created.
Many Kiwis are still relying on the black market to access their medicinal cannabis, often from growers known as the green fairies.
but recent scientific testing of some of their products showed that claims that they were high in CBD were often not correct. Gavin and Nikki credit the Green Fairies with helping keep their 2-year-old George alive. The chemotherapy for his leukemia makes him desperately ill.
After, it was 2 days, after CBD oil, he started climbing stairs for the first time in his life. His tremors subsided. Yeah, he could, his anxiety was a lot better.
They say our medicinal cannabis regime is hopeless.
Yeah, the fact that politicians are saying that the system is not a mess really shows the disconnect versus what's happening in the real world.
And some good news for Eddie, a delivery finally got through, bringing half a year of respite. Benedict Collins, One News.
So again, prohibition failing not just Irish society, but over in New Zealand
Princes
as well.
William and Harry have briefly set aside their differences to unveil a statue of their...
Feck off, Prince William and Harry. But again, prohibition causing a major failure, and you heard there in that news report they talked about the Green Fairies helping supply the cannabis. This is a group of people who've been just growing cannabis kind of, I suppose, illegally and supplying it illegally in New Zealand, and it's to New Zealanders. It's incredible that the patients are still not getting the effective access they need. Much like Ireland here, New Zealand has incredibly strict policies around access to medical cannabis, and it's just really detrimental to the patients over there. How can you deny patients access to this in order to prop up a prohibition that's failed? Again, you look at New Zealand and you see how the war on drugs is unfolded over there. If you're a native Kiwi, one of the a native New Zealander, you're going to be what did they say? Disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. Where I think there's like more than 3 times more likely to be stopped and searched by the local police there than a person who doesn't look like a local native. Which is it's incredibly unfortunate. This is kind of it's a class issue then as well. So it's just messed up, and the patients then when you look at it, and then not just in New Zealand. We'll come back to Ireland for a second to look at some more medical, more people getting kind of ripped off in Ireland, where a woman who was seeking therapeutic effects of cannabis, MDMA, and ketamine was after getting ripped off in Dublin. This is a story that I came across on our Crown over on the Reddit thread. So this was the post up there by Amuchi. But to start off, I'm not trying to source, I just want to vent about my experience. So I lived in Dublin for about a year. I'm an American and my husband is German. It's been almost impossible to make friends with all the lockdowns and working from home. We have some very good friends in Waterford, but they will only touch alcohol. I have been able to find weed twice by chance since we came here. Last week I was looking for weed as well as ketamine and MDMA, and I had a very traumatic miscarriage at 10 weeks recently. I have a history of anorexia and want some weed to help prevent a full-blown relapse. This has worked for me in the past, and I was looking for the MDMA as a one-time thing to help process my trauma, and ketamine to do the same, except for my treatment-resistant depression. I have had a success with responsible therapeutic use of all of these substances in the past. We were looking for these around the Temple Bar area and O'Connell Street area, and we found dealers that had weed and ketamine, but it ended up being ripped off twice by being given fake product. I'm just really frustrated because I know that these substances will help me if I use them in a safe manner, and my mental health will just keep getting worse if I don't. I don't want to fully relapse into anorexia and end up in the hospital again. My psychs, I've seen several just throw antidepressants and Xanax at me, and it's not helping me at all. Sorry for the rant, just need to get it off my chest. I'm so frustrated and getting desperate. So again, prohibition of drugs, failing patients, because if there's places out there, there's ketamine, there's ketamine clinics out there. There's places already now in Oregon, is it Oregon, that decriminalised all drugs, where you can actually go in now and you can probably get access to MDMA therapy with trained professional therapists. You have MAPS. MAPS currently are outlining their studies for the phase 4 studies, I believe it is. So incredibly amazing things go on there, but still, yeah, people are getting ripped off out there on the street buying products off people, and it's just very unfortunate that the government is not stepping in. After 50 years of this stuff, like this has been going on for decades, and they're still not stepping in. How many other people out there are going to get ripped off like this? You're going to hear online about the tremendous benefits of substance X, Y, or Z, and you go out and you seek it out then illegally, and you end up dead because some fool fucking sold you bleach or some shit like that, so it's horrible, because I had Adrienne Lynch on the podcast before, the enlightened lady talker, and she was talking to me about her benefits of using ketamine, and how it helped her overcome some childhood traumas that she had endured. So again, ketamine and MDMA, these are as well very therapeutic substances. Again, tools to be used and not abused. And again, that's the job of the government, to educate people on use and abuse, and that and nothing else. So it's just sickening to be able to have to report on a story like that, where a woman who suffered a miscarriage at 10 weeks pregnant and was looking for some relief, some therapeutic relief, then ends up getting ripped off on the streets by some scummy bloody drug dealer out there. Man, shaming whoever you are, because shaming everybody who engages in any form of fucking I don't know, just ripping people off, giving them dodgy shit. Like, if you're one of the people out there and you're selling people, is it 3 gram 50 bags and you're only giving them 2 grams, shaming you. Even if you're giving them 2.8, you should be giving them 3.2. Do you know what I mean? If you're giving somebody 3, give them 3.2. Be nice about it. Come on, make up for the weight of the old stems. I pulled a fella one time there years ago when I was buying a bag of weed off him. There was a big old stem inside of there, and there was a few buds along the stem, but I was like, come here, there's about 1 gram in that stem, and his answer was, I have to pay for a tube, It was like, you're some fucking gangster, do you know what I mean? I actually weighed it up afterwards. It was about 0.8 of a gram or something it was, but that's a couple of bloody balls, Right, so that is all of the 420 news that I have for you today, guys. But what I do have for you guys, if somebody wants to engage in this week, we can test something out. I've obtained a new number for the show. So with having a new number for the show, I was thinking of doing some live phone calls and stuff like that I can do it during the show. So I might start doing that at some stage there if people are up to it. Is that Martin, or is my internet gone? Shit, man, YouTube is having a bit of a balls out there for you. Sorry about that, guys. But hopefully it might sort itself out there again in a second. But to anybody else who's still bloody watching, I will hopefully start doing some stuff with the phone, get more interaction with the audience out there. Have yourselves phone in and contribute to maybe different news pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, let's see what happens with that. Bogwan San says, I'll ring you there to check. Well, I'll throw the number up on screen, will I? I'll just have to get the number there from it myself. Where is it? So, right, I'll get her up on screen here for you, so guys. We'll just go into this there, look. Boom. Wait 5 816 7 420. Woo! Yes. So there we go, guys. This is the new number for the show. If anybody wants to take this down, save it in Martin's World. If anybody wants to try to give it a call right now, you're more than welcome to. It's on, and we can do a little test. I haven't troubleshot this. I don't know how well it's going to. Oh, look, we have our first caller. One second now, caller. We'll get you hooked up to this. Find out who's on the other line. Right, are we coming through to you?
Hello.
Hi, how's it going? Who do we have?
How are you?
I'm very good. Yourself?
Yeah, good talking to you.
Yeah, nice as well. Who do we got calling?
Daily Talker here.
Daily Talker. Oh, what's happening, Daily Talker? Are you hearing me loud and clear on your side?
Yeah, it's grand. How about me?
Yeah. No, you're coming through good. Thanks very much for being the very first caller to this show. I should hook you up with some prizes actually for this. I'll hook you up with some packs of skins if you're around the city there sometime. I've got a couple of packs of raws here and things like that. What do you have here in the prize?
All your quality isn't the greatest, I tell you. Hello?
Boom, sorry about that there. I was just reaching over grabbing. So we've got some 5 packs of black raws here to give you if you're around the city some stage there, Daily Talker, and we'll hook you up for being the first caller to the show. Is that cool with yourself?
Sorry, man, I can't hear you the greatest.
Okay, yeah. I think Neil Prendeville had the same problem last time as well.
It's sort of blurry if you get me.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Something to be troubleshot with anyway over time. And it seems like having a phone call there as well as interfering with the static of the mic. Is the sound any better there now?
Oh, it's the same. It's like you're talking through something.
It's like I'm talking through something.
Yeah, it's like your microphone's in your pocket.
Ah, shit. Yeah. I can understand now what that must sound like. And I'll have to figure out.
I think it's just interference.
Yeah. There's probably too much going on there, maybe on the soundboard or something. I'm not too sure. Again, I'll play around with this in time and we'll perfect it because it's important that people are able to hear me on the other side as well. Nice one again, Daily Talker. We'll hang up there and we'll do another few of these again.
Hopefully more people call.
Oh, there is. I see a few missed calls after popping up there already.
All right, I'll let more people talk. So talk to you later, man.
Catch you later, man. Good luck. Nice
Good
one.
talking to you.
You too. Nice one. So there we go, guys. Just having a bit of fun with that one there. Just to see what the crack was with having kind of people call in. It seems like it's not perfect over on their side. It seems like I'm coming through a little bit muffled for some reason through the phone. But we'll figure it out. We'll get there, like, you know. What's at Pad Whelan? What's going on? That's a weird mobile number. Oh my god, I'm tempted. Oh, who do we have? We have another caller. Hello.
Hello, Martin. How are we?
I'm not too bad now. Who have we got?
Irish.
What's happening, Irish?
Just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, that's the job, night. Nice one for calling in.
Chance in my arm, yeah. Probably up the walls, though.
No, you're grand. How am I coming through to you? Is the sound okay on your side, or is it like...
Yeah, that muffled, but I knew to listen out for the muffled, since if that makes sense. I know you're going to be muffled, so I've just concentrated my ear a bit more. I've turned down the volume on my TV, so it just
sweet.
Makes sense.
Yeah, nice one for calling in anyway. And apologies about the sound not being the greatest.
You're grand. I was just a bit sus that you put the whole thing on the screen. I was like, there's no hope you actually fucking put the thing on the screen. Because your head's going to be fucking wrecked for the night, my man.
No, not at all.
Not in a bad way, a good way. It's a good way to get everyone connected now and communicate. It's fantastic in a way. It's good. It's only positive, but maybe throw everyone who rings you tonight or texts you into a group chat maybe tonight or in the Discord or something, you know. It'd be good for us all. We're all willing to give our phone numbers over to you. You're kind of like the middleman, you know. So if anything happens, it's your fault.
I'll take the blame for it all, man. I don't mind. I've enough anyway to be dealing
You're the as you say, we're only following you, man. So
he told me to
picking up stand up ourselves. Yeah. Are you planning for the weekend, the protest? I just wanted to ask you a question. Have you decided if you're leaving from Cork or Dublin on a day particularly yet?
Thanks very much for asking that. That's a very good question, actually. I'm going to be leaving Cork at 9:25 on the Dublin train, arriving into Dublin at 12 o'clock. So if there's any Gardaí out there, do you want to meet me at the train station? Or if there's any fans?
100%. You're getting... Operation Tara, hello folks, how are we?
I know, yeah.
I'll let you get back at it, man.
Nice one, Irish, and hopefully I see you up there Saturday, bud.
Yeah, 100%. No, I was only asking because I'm leaving from Kerry and I'm going to go to Cork, and then I'm going to go from Cork to Dublin. So
savage.
Oh yeah. All right, go on, I'll let you at it, man.
Are you going by train?
If you're going, yeah. So I'm down in Tralee myself at the moment. So I have friends and family in Cork, so I can pop up on a Friday, maybe stay the Friday, and then go up on Saturday. Like so, yeah.
That's the job. So yeah, we'll be catch you up there. So.
Yeah, no, I'll hopefully see everyone up there. And like I said, if you can't make it, you can't make it. But look, like, subscribe and share. If you can do your part, do your part.
Exactly. Nice,
right, man. Go
nice
on,
one again.
Yeah, my number.
Nice one. Good luck, Irish.
Keep it safe.
Peace.
Bye, man.
That's class, guys, to be able to hear your voices. They're now coming through on the phone. I can hear you loud and clear, and I think it's going out perfect as well to yourselves on the other side. So thanks, guys, for the calls coming through. I really appreciate it. It's good to hear from you. I'm going to blaze up an old bowl, and we'll have an old flick through the comments there as well before the phone rings again. I'm definitely going to need a Jamie up here now to be managing the phone line as well. So nice one there to Irish for reminding me, guys. I will be arriving up in Dublin at about 12 o'clock if the train arrives on time. And yeah, sure, we'll be outside of Houston Station there around 12ish if anybody wants to meet up there. We should be up in the park then, I suppose, for about maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock. Might grab a quick munch before going up there. But yeah, we should definitely be up by the monument by about 1 o'clock. So we'll be there about an hour early if anybody wants to meet up before the events kick off. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you all there. How did you get 420 in there? I know people in high places. No, I just went down to the shop and I asked the lady behind the counter. I was like, do you have a phone number with 420 in it? And this is what she came back with. And I was just like, I fucking love you. Best number ever. Yes. And now Podge with the weather. Go on, Pad Whelan. Straw Clip saying it's not like they're protecting us either. In my town, there's about 6 pubs and 1 off license. Yeah, that's just normal Ireland fare, really, isn't it? Like, not a real choice there. Just either you drink or you don't. Daily Talker says they talk about THC like it's poison when it's been proven to be greatly beneficial combined with CBD. Yeah, that's true. Like, it's interesting when you hear on these news reports and stuff how they only ever really want to talk about CBD and attributing that to the benefits that the kids are seeing. But in reality, these kids are actually consuming full plant spectrum cannabis oils, which contain a lot of cannabinoids, not just CBD. So you have the entourage effect that's kind of kicking in there. But in the news reports, they only talk about the CBD for some strange reason. You have to wonder why, like, they don't really want to be showing any benefits of THC, is it? In order to kind of continue with this kind of propaganda around their war on drugs that, THC is a dangerous substance, poison. Man, I'm high. Good stuff, Daily Talker. Nice one again, Daily Talker. Again, pop me a message there if you're in around the city, and I'll get those packs of skins off there. It's good to be able to kind of hook somebody up for kind of contributing to the show like that. So again, guys, make sure you have this number saved down if you want to send in any text messages and stuff like that then throughout the show. I might be able to look into it. I might be able to follow it a bit better than some of the comments. I keep on losing your comments, which is really annoying as the show goes on. But look, it is what it is. We'll try to improve it as we go. I was only saying that to Russell the other day. I kind of need somebody there and beside me to be kind of drawing my attention at times to kind of nudge me and say, come here, Martin, somebody commented there, something like this, read that out, comment on that. I would like that, like, because it would engage me more with you as the audience, and I think that would improve the quality of the show then as well. Like, so we'll get there. We'll get there. The Cannabis Hub is going to happen. Like, we will get this activist hub up and running. I'm still looking for the perfect spot. Like, we'll get there. In your humble opinion, how long you think until full legalization? 2 years. Like, really, like 2 years. I think that is, within all honesty, totally achievable here in Ireland. That in 2 years we could see full legalization. Decriminalisation is something we could achieve like overnight, but full legalization is something that's going to take a little bit more time, just to draw out the right bill, to have all the sides agree on it, and to get it voted through and put in place and all of that. Like, I would say about 2 years maybe. Like, let's say Gino Kenny's bill. If Gino Kenny's bill, and if we were to get that supported and get it through all of the hoops it has to go through, then possibly you could maybe say 12 to 18 months, possibly, because Gino's bill would effectively do what you're asking. Like, that would be full legalization in part, like, you know. Obviously there would be some still elements of criminalisation, I think, if he keeps in some of the stuff from Ming's old bill, but still, you know, that would be full legalization, and that could be achieved within 2 years, you know, and even 18 months if there's enough support there for it. But yeah, I'm heading from West Cork to Cork, then to Dublin. Go on, Podge, I can't wait. Delighted to be able to get you up there as well, Podge. I see you have a missed call there as well from Russell. Sorry about that, Russell. Missed your call. I think you called while Daily Talker was actually on. Do you think they'll be searching the Cork to Dublin train? Well, here's my thoughts on the train, okay, guys, is travelling numbers. Don't go alone. Travelling numbers, because and if a number of you have cannabis, then like it'll be hard for them to do anything about it, you know. If the drug dog is there and they can't single anybody out, you could all be like, oh, we all have cannabis, like, yeah, so what, like, you know, you overwhelming, and like, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, like, all right, go on away, lads, go on off to your protest, we leave you alone. Like, maybe, like, travelling numbers, I think if you're alone and the drug dog is there, that's the biggest worry at the train station, is that the boys are just going to be at the barricades, the turnstiles as you walk out with the drug dog. And the drug dog, for me anyway, or he's probably just going to keel over and die, because I'm going to be stinking walking through there anyway. I'm going to give him one of my edibles and the dog is just going to love it. But seriously, like, yeah, that's definitely a likely situation that could happen. And that's not to scare anybody off. It's just be prepared, guys. Like, get a vacuum sealer if you're worried about it, and vacuum seal your weed into it, like, just to make sure that the smell isn't leaking out everywhere. Like, you know, douse yourself in Lynx or whatever fucking spray that you use before you walk out the door, and whatever other tactic you know. Go ahead and buy a brand new bag of clothes and don't even bring them into your gaff. Like, leave them somewhere where there's never going to be any cannabis, and put them on before you get on the train if you have to, like. Bogwan Son saying leave Bailey home on Saturday. Bailey deserves a day off, doesn't he? Hashtag free Bailey. I remember going from Carlow to Newbridge, rolling up on the train a few years back. Surprised never got caught. Yeah, I've rolled up on the train a good few times as well. No bothers are all rolling up in the train. We used to always go from Cork to Cove as young fellas down to Cove, fishing and stuff like that. Like, but we'd always be rolling up joints on the train, and we'd be burning hash on the train, like, so. Happy bloody days. Oh, scumbag young fellas burning their hash in the train. Skitana says buy some CBD doggy treats and then present when he kicks off. True that, yeah, that's it. Like, oh, it's a dog barking at it. I just have doggy treats there, but they're CBD doggy treats too. For coffee beans and Big Mac sauce on the end of your jeans always works with the dog. What? Oh, Ferg, man. Like, coffee, all right, it smells nice for a bit, like. But Big Mac sauce, man. How did you come up with that one? Like, how did you figure that out, Ferg? Tell me, like, how did you figure out the Big Mac sauce? Oh, man. Like, what other sauces didn't work before you figured out Big Mac sauce worked? Oh, man. Podgy says, even bring more smellies with you just to freshen up. Pockets full of air fresheners, but... Mark Andrew should carry sausages in your pocket from Holland to Cork. From Holland to Cork, yeah? So what was the crack? You were over in Holland and you were like, I have to cover the smell of weed, and the only thing you had was Big Mac sauce. I get a Big Mac, I'm going to smash some sauce on my pants. Oh, go on, Ferg. Fucking, that's some good thinking, man. Right. What's going on? I see Man Falls is out there as well. What's going on, Man Falls? Hope you're doing good. Dalgan is Anam Dumb as well, says talks on talk. Yes. Bogwan's son, ever wondered how it was called good shit? Someone tried it first. I just don't smoke until you get there in case there are dogs. Keep it well wrapped. And Tommy Stokes, what's happening? Tommy says, I was smoking on the Dublin-Galway train in the Jacks back in 2005, and when I came out, the carriage reeked of the stuff, and seems the toilet fan just blew it into the carriage. Go on, Tommy, bye. Second-hand high for everyone on the train. There I was thinking we were being bad just for burning in on the train, like, you know. You just went smoking, like, stop. We didn't have them balls on at all. Ferg says, yeah, I got a few grams through, even with Bailey, the dog there. Good stuff, Ferg, man. I've successfully brought stuff back from Amsterdam a couple of times as well. Never had to put the Big Mac sauce on my pants at all. I'd normally just bring hash back. Hash was always the easiest just to bring back from Amsterdam, because you could kind of squeeze it into like the folds of your jeans and stuff like that, like especially in under, like, and shouldn't be giving away my hiding spot actually, but like the old Levi's jeans, I used to always like fly back in Levi's jeans, and you could put in a nice nodge in behind the old label on the jeans, and you'd never really feel it at all. Like you get about like 4 or 5 grams in there, and yeah, then you just kind of like tape it to the inside of the leg of your pants and things, like, and it was like grand. Can we just bring back about like a half ounce at a time, like it's good fun. Got caught with it twice though, like so I got blacklisted. Yeah, I got blacklisted 2 times as well. Was never arrested. Got caught with it in Cork one time. I got caught with it in Amsterdam a second time. In Amsterdam they were threatening not to let me on the plane to come home. It was bloody brownies they caught me with then. They didn't even find the hash in my bag then as well. I still had hash in the bag. That time I was after hiding it in amongst a load of jellies. The pick and mix bags. I just threw in a load of little lumps of hash inside in the pick and mix bags. They looked like the licorice drops that were in there as well. And not a bother, man. Got them all through. They took my bloody space cake off me. I forgot to edit. I was just baked. Like we were monged. Like I was after getting 2 space cakes. I was after eating one on the way to the airport. I was supposed to eat the other one at the airport, and I forgot. I'm going through the thing, and your mum was like, "What's in your bag?" I was like, "Oh, nothing." Operation Terror taking notes. Yeah, man, we're educating the cops on the daily here on Martin's World. Unfortunately, hopefully they're going to use the knowledge for good rather than the bad that they've been doing all along. Again, like the guards involved in Operation Terror, like this message is very much in your favour as well, because your lives are much more at risk because of the power given to organised crime gangs in our communities and in our society. These guys have got crazy guns and all sorts, like, you know, that they're able to take advantage of young vulnerable people and make them again go out into the community and do the unthinkable. And you know, you could raid one of their houses one of the days trying to take their cocaine or heroin or plants off them, and they might fucking meet you with a gun, like. And you know, I hope we don't ever have that story, like, I really don't, like, but we almost did there with your man taking off from the checkpoint down in West Cork, where he drove on with the cop hanging out the window, like, you know. Close calls, but it's your call, guards. Do you want to keep doing this stuff? Do you want to keep putting your lives on the line for failed drug policies that are going nowhere? A war that you cannot win? Are you happy to be fucking soldiers on the front line? And we being your enemy? Like, I don't want to be your enemy, Mr. Guard. I really don't. Like, I want to be able to respect the local guard, and, you know, not to be a target of the local guard, because I don't do anything else wrong in society outside of fucking engaging in illegal drug use, like. Seriously, like, oh, I'm such a bad guy. In fairness, like, if I'm a bad guy, Ross Dr. Greenthumb, what if he went for the wrong sausage? Tape the smirk to the, or tape the smack to your upper inner thigh, or just put it there if you're a big boy. Guards will search anyone for no reasons. Vacuum pack if possible. Yep, there you go, guys. Good advice there from Dawson's Creek anyway. But again, just don't be deterred. You know, stash, try to be smart, try not to get caught. And again, travel in numbers is my advice. If there's 10 or 20 of you travelling together, make sure all of you are going through the turnstiles together. And if one goes down, you have to all go over. And that's the thing. One of you get out the phone and record it while the rest of them go over. And, you know, and all own up to it and say, we all have cannabis. We're all going together to the protest, like, you know. Power in numbers. Like, don't let one person go down on their own is not something we should be doing anyway. One for all, not for one. I got caught in Cork. I completely forgot I had a Henry in my pocket. So easy to forget, especially after a full-on weekend at the dam. Yeah, man, it's so easy to forget. Hopefully they ring Martin for an interview. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Operation Terror, give us a call. I once smuggled 4 slices of Madeira cake edibles from Paradox. Bought a Madeira cake in Albert Hygiene. Cut out a big piece and placed the edibles slices inside. Nice. Good call, man. Straw clips. Any more damn stories, Martin? No, not at the moment anyway. Not off the top of my head, really. Like, there was actually one crate the very first time I went to Amsterdam, and I met some of the lads from Toy Box, and they were fighting over there as well. And it was my first night in Amsterdam as well. And we got incredibly baked and high, like. And there was this really old Irish guy there, and he was just following us for the whole night. But I can remember at one stage, like, just getting really paranoid around him, like. And it was just funny, like, the whole experience. But the guy was a real fucking creepy weirdo. Yeah, that was just the only story I can really remember. There's not much entertainment really in that one, except the fact that, like, that we were after going heavy on the edibles that night, and yeah, borderline hallucinating, like, honestly, like, just borderline seeing shit, like, fucking intensity was just at 99, like. Yes, Man Falls excited for the weekend. Yes, can't wait, Man Falls. As I say, Man Falls is going to be above a 12 anyway. Should be up around the monument then around 1 o'clock. So if anybody wants to meet up, I will have this number active as well on the day, guys. So if anybody wants to give me a message, give me a call on the day. This number on screen right now will be active. So do give it a call. This number is dedicated to Martin's World Hotline. Martin's World Hotline. There we go. 1 second. We sort that out. Oh. Boom. Done. Sorted. So Saturday, guys, if you want to find me, this is how you're going to do it. We got a ball of mushies back from Amsterdam in 2006 and a load of weed too. No idea how we didn't get caught, as we didn't hide shit and we were smoking just outside the airport and missed the flight home. Good stuff, lads. Well done. I've never missed a flight yet. Touch wood. I know lads who were murder for missing fucking flights. Murder for it. Like, how do you miss a flight, like? Scatanist, mushrooms go into a sandwich and powder into pills. Easy travels. Nice. Dave AK mistook a urinal for a sink when washing hands. Nice. Good stuff. Straw clips. Facts. Teresa says we'll be getting there early too. Nice one, Teresa. Again, let's make efforts to meet up and yeah, let's get the party going together. Like the stream, everybody as well. Rudy's saying nice one for that, Rudy. And nice, you have the 420 at the end of the number and all. Oh yeah, of course, special request. Like, I couldn't have it any other way. I was trying to have 710 and 420 in there actually, but yeah, that really is wishful thinking. Wasn't at a festival, was it, Dave? Podge says that was in Amsterdam too. Well, funny that video. Yeah, I think I can remember seeing that one actually. And the guy was going around like drinking out of the urinal or some shit like that. Weird stuff, man. Dawson's Creek Noddy's mushrooms looked like a chocolate bar but costed 30 quid. Nice. Right, guys, I'm going to start loving you and leaving you because I got to get ready and go down to do a bit of Thai boxing for the evening. It's going to be a lovely old evening of it too. If anybody's down around Cork City wants to do a bit of martial arts, get down to Samson Martial Arts. Really good gym. Really good community people down there as well, training, like really good vibes. You know, nice family kind of atmosphere down there. Everybody just treats one another like family once you're part of the Samson family. So if you're in around Cork and you want to do a bit of MMA training, whether it be Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu, boxing, get on down there and try it out. I teach the Thai boxing this evening at 7:30 myself. Yeah, it's a good old class. People really enjoy it, and I hope to see maybe some of you down there someday, guys. So enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. I will get on out of here, and I'll be back with more 420 news. I do actually know Isaac Martin. You know Isaac as well? As I said, it's a good old community of people down there, alright. I haven't seen Isaac in a while now. I'm not too sure if he's training at another gym or if he's after moving out of Cork. I haven't seen him around in a bit, actually. Maybe even before the lockdown, quite possibly. But if you still see him around the place, tell him I said hi. He had a piss, then went in and with a pocket up a urinal cake, or picked up a urinal cake and washed his hands in the pisser. Lovely, good stuff. Don't be doing that, guys. Not advised. All right, I will get out of here this time, and I'll be recording a bit of it, Gunnar. Good stuff. Yes, nice. I can't wait to meet you all, guys, on Saturday. So, right, until Wednesday, guys, I'll be back with more 420 news, and stay blessed. Keep her lit. Much love. Peace.